Salute, salute, salute. This is your boy King Jr. back at y'all with another boxing video. I kind of wanted to talk about this subject real quick. Um, a lot of people in my comment section off my last video is saying Crawford would do this to Errol, Crawford would do that. They even call me an aerosexual, right? And you can express your opinion all you want. I don't care if you call me aerosexual or not. I'm just going to tell you how I see and how balanced I see this fight's going. And today we're going to talk about in this video is, does Terrence Crawford has enough to beat Errol Spence Jr.? And also there is a boxing source that explained to a boxing that an expert explained to this boxing source, well, this is how Terrence Crawford will beat Errol Spence. And let's break that down right now. So, according to this boxing source that I watch on YouTube, they said that the expert told him, he basically says, all right, here how Errol Spence was going to lose against Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford is going to basically tie Errol Spence up and get him into a uncomfortable position, like a wrestling position, like try to tie him up every time Errol Spence closes the gap on Terrence Crawford to dig to the body, because we know Errol Spence Jr. is a gruesome body puncher. And he said Terrence Crawford would close the gap, tie Errol Spence Jr. up, looking to wear him down by keep tying him up and resetting Errol Spence Jr. and catching him with punches that Errol Spence Jr. is not going to be able to see during the southpaw stance. And when he does get to a point where Errol Spence Jr. is vulnerable from a punch that he doesn't see, he's basically going to hit Errol Spence Jr. with a basically a left hook in the southpaw position and basically knock Errol Spence Jr. out. From what I heard, that's what it sounded like. But the grappling part, Terrence Crawford, if people don't know, he was an expert wrestler. And he is a very good wrestler. And Terrence Crawford is physically a strong boxer. And the expert guy that the boxing source was saying is he made a valid point. But you can't sit there and say that Errol Spence ain't going to retaliate from that. Errol Spence is a very, very fundamentally sound boxer. If Errol Spence keeps, let's say Terrence Crawford goes with that game plan to keep tying Errol Spence up, catching him with close punches that Errol Spence is not going to be able to see, basically getting to Errol Spence's blind spots, right? Well, if Errol Spence figured that out, because Errol Spence compute data twice as fast than Terrence Crawford compute data, and I already explained this multiple times, Errol Spence is a guy that likes physicality. He likes to get physical with you. And just because you had a wrestling background, that doesn't mean that Errol Spence is not going to take whiff of that and let you keep doing the same move thinking that game plan is going to work. It's not going to work against Errol Spence Jr. And the reason why it's not going to work against Errol Spence Jr. is Errol Spence Jr. corrects his mistakes on the fly. He corrects his mistakes on the fly. And there was a mistake that Errol Spence Jr. used to do a lot. Every time I think a punch like gets thrown at him, he kind of hop backs when he kind of avoids a punch and his guard gets slipped down. It's like he's putting his guard up and he's slipping back. And it's kind of bad to do that because you can get caught with a straight left or a straight right from anybody, and it could put you in a very, very vulnerable situation where you're backpedaling and you could get trapped in the corner and you could potentially get stopped or knocked out that way. I've seen it with a lot of guys and stuff like that happen. Just regular boxing videos and professionals doing this as well. But that analogy seems like it could work for Crawford because Crawford is a guy that is physically strong. He's very physically strong. I've seen Crawford has some deadlift videos. The dude deadlifting 400, 300 some pounds. That's impressive. But here is the downfall of that. Just because you are lifting weights, just because you're keeping your body in a physical standpoint of less injuries and stuff like that, that's not going to help you. You can make your body physical as you want, but if you don't work on the fundamentals, if you don't work on a certain key points to beat Errol Spence Jr., and it's just not going to work. In my opinion, The only way Terrence Crawford will be able to beat Errol Spence Jr. is I could give this guy his credit on this. You do need to tie Errol Spence Jr. up. You don't need to let Errol Spence close the gap on you. Because if you close the gap on Errol Spence Jr. or he closes the gap on you, you're putting Errol Spence Jr. in a winnable situation where he can get his body off. He can do lead uppercuts, lead rear uppercuts, lead uppercuts to the body, and that is going to wear you down faster. And Errol Spence will get to a point where he'll catch you so many times with a rear and a lead uppercut to the body. He hits you with a right hook. He can hit you with the left hook. He can hit you with the right hook. He's working you. He's basically cooking you up when he's doing that. Like he's really getting to you with those body shots. And it puts you in a position where Errol Spence is about to line you up for either a clean uppercut to the jaw or a right hook or a left hook to the body. And he's going to get you up out of there with that. He got a lot of guys up out of there with that. And if that game plan does work with Errol Spence Jr., Errol Spence Jr. is going to go back to those fundamentals, and he's going to look to continue to work that mid-range, use that jab, pump that jab out, get all his extra punches off, and eventually your face will get messed up in the process as well because Errol Spence, he just hits different. Not to say Terrence Crawford doesn't, but that's Errol Spence's game plan. You have to keep Errol Spence Jr. at a certain range to beat Errol Spence Jr. If you let Errol Spence Jr. get close to you and let him find his range before you find your range, you're going to be in big trouble. And Devin Haney was having this problem as well. He could not find his range with Lomachenko. Yes, he was finding his range, but I just think the mentality of Devin Haney got to him where Tank is getting all this buzz of knocking out Ryan Garcia. He tried to spice it up by pushing Lomachenko. You can't let that stuff get to you because it messes up certain things in your fight. Now, a lot of stuff have to do with weight draining and all this other stuff, but we'll talk about that another time. But the game plan for Crawford is keep Errol Spence at a certain distance, keep that jab pumping out. You don't have to outrun Errol Spence for 12 rounds. You can sit there in the pocket with Errol Spence. Just keep him at a distance. Keep Errol Spence in that same spot. Keep turning Errol Spence. Turn him to the left. Turn him to the right. You got to move around sometimes, but don't sit there and try to take up half of the ring and run around the ring to avoid Errol Spence by just using the jab and landing on a body shot or two or catching him with a hook that he doesn't see or whatever the case may be. You can't do that because if you're running around the ring, you're giving Errol Spence Jr. advantage to cut the ring off even faster, and it makes you look like you're running from the fight. But I know what Terrence Crawford's going to do. He's going to prove to the world that, hey, this people saying, Errol, I'm too small for Errol. Okay, I'm really going to fight this dude on the inside. I see Terrence Crawford having a dog fight with Errol Spence Jr., and he's going to be looking to grab him, which that's an advantage for him. But it's really not because Errol Spence like to get physical as well. And Terrence Crawford, by him lifting those weights on the back end, if he still do lift weights from time to time, he's going to lose even more abilities if he's pressing himself to lift more weights and thinking that he's going to turn Errol Spence Jr. by grabbing him and stuff like that. That's not going to work. Terrence Crawford's going to be in very big trouble. He's going to lose a lot of abilities if he still continues to lift weights. And all I can really say for Terrence Crawford game plan to beat Errol Spence Jr., he's going to have to control the distance. He's going to have to avoid staying in corners. He's going to have to avoid staying off the ropes and stuff like that because if you're doing all that, if you let Errol Spence Jr. get close to you, if he's closing the gap, if he's cutting off the ring faster than you getting out of the way, he is going to get to that body. He's going to work that body. He's going to catch you with a hook or a clean uppercut to the body or even in the jaw, and you're going to get up out of there. That's how I see the plan working if Crawford lacks. But I know I said this more about Errol Spence Jr. than Crawford, but Crawford's game plan, he's going to have to use that athleticism, and that just proves my point at the end of the day. He's going to have to look to outbox this man to win, and I don't think he's going to outbox Errol Spence Jr. because Terrence Crawford is a guy that wants to make the fight physical, and he wants to prove to the people in the world that he's a hell of a dog. You don't have to do that. Just be that versatile, slick, southpaw switching fighter from 140 pounds and you will beat Errol Spence Jr. If you don't beat that same fighter from 140 pounds, sir, you will get obliterated by Errol Spence Jr. You can call me an Aerosexual all you want. That's just my opinion at the end of the day. With that being said, guys, what do you guys think? What would Clarence Crawford game plan be to beat Errol Spence Jr.? So let me know what you guys think. This is your boy King Jr. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on your way in the building and on your way out in the building. So I'm out here, y'all. Peace.